state championships are really hard to come by in Texas. You know, this isn't Rhode Island or some small state. It's a huge state, and there's a lot of people competing, so it's a really, really big deal. Each one is very difficult to get. The next one will be even harder. And so I'm really proud of our coaches and our kids, our trainers, the whole package, the band, the cheerleaders, everybody that participates to put on that show Friday night. I'm incredibly proud of all of them. And the amount of work that goes into that is beyond what normal people can imagine. And so, tonight is going to be about honoring the people who actually sweated to make it happen. Each football season is new, and when people talk about the beginning of the season, everybody wants to talk about the first game. Well, the beginning of football season is really in July, and so our team over the summer faced some pretty tough consequences. And when the first game rolled around, we were still reeling from those consequences in the summer. And so when we loaded that bus to go to Dallas, I knew we were playing a team that was going to be really, really good, incredibly fast.
First game. Well, you prepare all summer to come into a game and think you can get a good product out there on the field. We knew going into the game we had a young team, an inexperienced team.
It was everybody's first time starting. We was a new team, a new group. Everybody was just learning how to play with each other.
So we came in kind of just thinking like, relax, we're good, we can't be beaten.
So that whole week, fresh out the summer, oh yeah, let's go. It's the first game. We beat them last year. We was basing our gameplay off of something previous that we had nothing to do with. I can honestly say, they gave us a run for our money. They showed us that great teams could always be beaten. We went out there being cocky and, we got what we needed.
Yeah, that first loss was definitely not expected. We expected to come in there and dominate, but we came in there, they punched us in the mouth.
They really humbled us. It put us in a bad place, because at first we thought we was gonna beat South Cliff because the last team beat them.
It was kind of one of those deals. We've been around here a long time, and it's one of those deals where we schedule a hard preseason for a reason, and that's just to kind of allow us to see where our team is and where we're at. And, it really wasn't a loss, but more of a learning experience. And, a lot of young kids got a chance to play for the first time. And, we all understood that. So, it was just kind of one of those deals where it was the first game of the year and got to bring a bunch of new kids in.
Probably some guys that were, as you could imagine, they were nervous going in that first game. And it was a really rough first half for us. And things really settled down for us. So after halftime, guys kind of got under control, and we started playing, North Shore level defense.
Well, we had 20 new starters, guys who hadn't played. Yeah, we had some talent, but there's a lot of guys who were playing up in Dallas for their first game. So you're right, it was a wake-up call for them. We came out very flat, especially on offense. And then we settled down and we finally got going. And I think that was one great thing about playing that, is it settled the kids down and it showed, hey, this is what you need to do for the future, for the year.
First loss, we don't look at it as a negative impact. We looked at it as more so of a learning curve. There was going to be a learning curve. So if anything, Coach G always talks about making sure that we are humble enough and able to stick together through the tough times. And this was just a tough time, and it was a learning curve, something that we were going to be able to battle through, come back, look at the film, and get rolling again, get back on track.
We took the opportunity to get better. We learned our lesson. We moved on. We went on we went on a win streak.
The biggest thing we learned from that game was we still had a lot of room to go. We had a lot of room to get better. We had to become a team that became more player-led than coach-led. And, that game showed us a lot about ourselves, and we learned a lot about ourselves.
And so when we loaded the bus, I think, of course, to come home after losing, I think it was 41-31. I think our kids were pretty disappointed. The bus ride was pretty quiet coming home. And in my mind, I was thinking, we're going to be all right, man. They showed up in the second half. And, I think our coaches were a little disappointed. And, sometimes losing ignites a fire that we may not have had.
If you want to be a good team, most good teams are going to be led, by the players. Great teams are going to be led by the players. If you're going to be good, coaches are leading it and stuff like that. That means coaches are always getting on kids to get to where they need to be. We're pushing kids. We're telling them to hustle and stuff like that. But when you start getting players to tell players, hey, we need to get here fast. We need to hustle up out here. Let's get out of the locker room. We got to get dressed. Let's get to practice with a good attitude. Let's make sure we have good energy. When you get players saying that, then the buy-in helps us become that much better as a team.
We all went to the team room, sat down, had a long talk, about 3 hours. And then after that, it became hold each other accountable. You see someone miss a rep, you get in their face, you yell at them, you tell them, like, get that last rep in, push them. They doing too light weight, put more weight on the bar. So everybody trying to make each other better.
It was really, our first game all together, all the guys coming together, working, playing with each other. And the first game, I'll just say, was just a learning lesson.
It made the brotherhood stronger, We needed that loss to understand.
I feel like after that, our team started being player-led. You see more players coming out their shell, really coaching each other. It wasn't too much talking the coaches had to be doing after that. It was on us. We realized that it's our season. After the first loss, we had to start being accountable for each other. We had to start taking accountability with ourselves and within the whole team as players, though, not only the coaches.
We've been here for a long time and we've done this a lot. So it was kind of one of those deals again where, we didn't hang our heads too much on the loss, and we got those kids understand that we're a good team, we're a good program. So, they kind of got a chance to see where, the places that they messed up and then the things that we needed to do to improve. And, everybody jumped in and, we kind of got it done.
Every day got better, and that was the thing about the whole year. In a nutshell, was these kids came to work every day and got better every day.
Just really the next game after that, playing a Crowley team that it went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. That very next week, coming back here to Houston, played them in our first home game. And we came out and played really well, beat them 42-0, said, okay, we got things back on the right track.
I could say, really, my favorite game out the whole season, besides state, it was Dickinson. That's round 4. That was probably one of the loudest atmospheres. You ever heard the stadium post? Like you could feel the stadium like creeping in on you, and we had to really look around. It wasn't too much talking. So you got to know your players.
Dickinson game, because we came out there. What really said it for me is we came out there in warm-ups, and we're just all fired up. We all had our ski mask on. It just felt great doing our backflips, doing our little routine. And I just knew that after that game, I knew we were going all the way for sure.
I could look through every game. I go through the whole 16 games. For some reason, they all stick in every play. But it was just an unbelievable feeling for the first year since I was coaching college of playing in the second round of a tournament or a postseason. So it was just being locked in every day.
Playoffs, probably the best time of my football career. Loved it. Played at one team. That's when you could tell the coach really had trust in us. I remember there was times where me and my other D-line will switch around what the coach is telling us to, and we'll be like, okay, I trust y'all. Y'all do what y'all think is best. And we'll just call plays, we'll communicate, everybody yelling at each other across the field, getting the player around. And it was just a really good time.
Anytime we feel as though we're good or great, he'll bring up them losses, and it's an anger just be filled inside us we really did lose. We really can be beaten. when we not working together and trusting our players.
After the Summer Creek game, we just said this would never happen again. And so we had to dominate every single game. Like I said, we had to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because after Summer Creek, we knew that we had like a chip on our shoulder.
No game was a lazy moment, was just a setback. We finna chill. We coming out hard against everybody. Nobody got easy. Nobody got it easy.
It was good. I mean, because we lost our first game of the year, then we lost the last regular season game of the year. So again, it's kind of one of those deals where, that loss at the end kind of got everybody's attention. It really got us locked in and ready to make a playoff run.
Hey, 48 minutes. All right, can we finish? We gotta start fast, boys. You gotta stay there. Come around, flying around. Not to keep your hands off. You got to stay there. Yes, sir. Hey, love you boys. Let's finish on through. Let's do this shit.
I guess I knew we was going all the way after our first round of playoffs, because after we beat Deer Park, like it was an atmosphere change. Like it wasn't just we playing football. No, it's like hold on, like we really got something going for ourselves.
After Lake Travis game, it really hit me. Going to state. First time playing on varsity, really. It was my first time on varsity, first year starting. It was exciting.
The final game was really emotional for me, especially because that's like something I had a goal of with my best friend and like the team. We all came together and had that dream since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, going into that Duncanville game, I imagine a lot of people probably thought we didn't have much of a chance.
I ain't gonna lie, top life experience, like, ever. Like, I don't think nobody thought we was gonna get that far, We got that far and we won the game.
It's explosive. So now North Shore with the benefit of that and off play action. Here's Maryland going deep. Got the man. Caught. Touchdown. Guess who? Jalen Bocard in for the first score of the 6A state championship.
Man, that had to be the greatest feeling ever. The greatest feeling ever. Like, I would say just playing in Jerry's world was like, I had to take it all in, warm up, taking it all in. It's super loud, 100,000 people there.
Morris Taylor to hold. 27-yard field goal trying to extend the North Shore lead, and that kick is good.
Being back on that stage at Jerry's World created a ton of emotions of a lot of guys. This was their first time ever being in that stadium.
Man, it was an unbelievable feeling. Probably the greatest sports moment in my life. I played in a couple bowl games, coached in some, but there was nothing better because just like you say, the bond of these kids came together and we're around them every day and they were phenomenal.
The whole objective for here is, and the reason why we put all that work in, the reason why we're working on Saturdays and Sundays for 4 months in a row and, all that off-season work and all the preparation is to win a state championship. So we celebrate when we win a state championship.
No, I'm excited. Again, you do this and you work so hard and these kids are bought in and they're investing so much time. At the end of the day, when you get to this moment to play the last game, it's good to see those guys succeed.
Out of all the teams we've had, this one faced some adversity the others didn't necessarily face. And for this to be Coach Gaston's first, I think that's a really big deal. I believe now the coaches, number one, the administrators, and the kids all believe in the process.
I thought this last championship exemplified more than anything else what North Shore high school football is about, and that's physicality. Because defense got after it. Defense was physical. Defense travels, whether it's home or away. Defense always travels, and they showed up, and that was the difference in the game. To keep the scoring like they did against a program like Duncanville just tells you what North Shore is about. And it has to do with the type of kids who love physicality. They love getting after it. They work hard in the off season. They build a football program in the off season, and they celebrate on Friday nights in the fall. And that's what that state championship game exemplified, all of that. The hard work, the ETRTW, all the way to winning the state championship.
Rivers looking, dumps it outside off the hands. Leon Wood could not hold it. The ball will go over on downs, and North Shore is going to win the state title.
Well, Craig, I'm going to tell you, it's the defense of North Shore that won this football game today.